Hello everyone, Corocus here. Welcome to a brand new video and welcome to a brand new series as well. In this series, as the name suggests, games from my past, I want to take you back to the games that were defining for my childhood, the games that made me into the gamer I am today, and the kind of things that actually made me into the YouTuber that I am today, believe it or not. Because it seems that many things that I was doing back to my childhood when I was just 5 or 6 turned out to be very useful for what I'm doing today with YouTube. This is a series that I've had planned for a very long time. In fact, I was planning this series back in 2014, the very important year for me, the year when I decided to start uploading more frequently on this channel and, well, to just get this channel up and running because I had been neglecting it for quite a while. And in fact, I'm now announcing another series as well. Alongside this one, I have another one called, well, I actually didn't really pick a name yet, but pretty much games that I've missed out on, whether they were released 10 years ago or 15 years ago, just games that I know about, I read about, I've been interested in playing, but for various reasons I didn't get to play until today. But anyway, focusing for now on this series, games from my past, I'm doing this because, you know, I know that the majority of content on my channel is football related. That's a fact, and it makes sense because I love football. But first of all, I like video games because I rarely talk about real football events, and in fact I didn't even make any video covering a real football event or anything like that. So this channel is still gaming focused first and foremost. So I'm trying to take a break from all the football. I mean, the World Cup is going on, I am enjoying it. But on this channel, I want to diversify things a bit. And with this series, I want to even further connect with you, my audience, and share some moments from my childhood. And there'll be a lot of very popular games from the 90s or early 2000s that I'll talk about in this series. And I'm sure you have played as well in your childhood or teenage years. And if you did, make sure to leave a comment, tell me about your experiences with that certain game. Even this one that will feature in this very first video in the series. Let me know if you played it ever and if you enjoyed it, and if not, let me know if you enjoyed my little stories that I'll talk about in this series. So without further ado, here is the first game that will kick off this series. The very first episode will be featuring Speedboat Attack. It's actually the second game ever made by Criterion Games, a game series that would later be known for making the great Burnout series, a game series that I will most certainly feature on my other video series, the games I've missed out on. Now for this game, I actually had to install Windows 98 on a virtual machine because under no circumstances it would want to install on a modern Windows 7 running PC. In fact, I couldn't actually get the setup itself running because it gave me an error saying that I don't have the right Windows version or something like that. I mean, it seems silly, but it is a common thing with old games, especially those from the 90s, to not be compatible with modern hardware and software. But that's a good thing because in this series I actually talk about a lot of games from the 90s because that's the time period where I spent my childhood, and I'm sure that most of those games would not run on a modern operating system anyway. And it's been great because even just installing this thing and getting used back to Windows 98 was a trip and really took me back to much simpler times when I would spend all my free time. You know, I wasn't going to school yet back in the day. And the interesting thing is, and this is what I was talking about, that you'll get to know a lot more about me, is that back in the day I didn't really afford games, let alone a high-end PC like for the time, or actual PC that would properly run games. And so by some coincidence, we had a family friend that worked in a hardware store or a hardware depot, something like that, and until I had my very first PC, I would just go around and play NES, SNES, later on for PlayStation, but even PC games, like early PC games, you know, when the graphics were like magenta and cyan, you know, when your graphics adapters were just, we didn't have GPUs. It was crazy. All this technology seemed so new and cutting edge, and you would actually play a pixelated mess in bright blue and pink. It was horrible, but for the time it was like, whoa. So back in the day, I would just go to friends and be able to play games on their consoles or PCs, and I was kind of just sampling, you know, like how demos were an actual thing back in the day, and today they are so rare that when a company releases a demo or a trial for the game, it's like, whoa, seriously, what happened? But yeah, I would just sample around. I would just go to friends, and every time my family would have to go over to someone else, I would be excited, because if I knew that that other family had a child as well who was into gaming and had a console or PC, I was like, oh yes, I can't wait to go there. I want to play some video games. That was the only way I could have gotten a taste of video games. And now it might seem super weird since I'm running a channel focused on video games, but that's what it was, that's how it was, and it really was my only chance to get a glimpse of games. I would play FIFA, I would play PES, I would play I think Primal Rage, that was the fighting game. I didn't know about these names actually back in the day, because since I didn't own the games and only get to play them, say, a couple of hours every week or so, I really didn't know about their names. And even with this game, it was so hard to find, because I haven't played this game at all since my childhood, because I didn't know the name. And what's the worst thing about a favorite piece of media? Let's say you get a taste of a book, you see a movie somewhere, you don't see from the beginning or something, and you don't get the name, or you listen to a song, play a game. The worst thing about liking something and trying to go back to it, something that you once stumbled upon in your past, is not knowing the name, because you can't find it, right? And the very distinct thing that I remember about this game, so I'm sorry, I will go pretty much all over the place with this video, but hey, I'm taking just a more relaxed approach, more freestyle approach. So let me just first of all, oh yes, that glorious sound. So this is what we're talking about. Even just going back and getting used to Windows 98 was really a trip. I mean, you remember when the cursor was so laggy and not smooth at all, because you would actually use a ball track mouse? Oh, those were really fun, taking them apart every single weekend, cleaning them, because it would just roll around all the dust inside. Oh, it was terrible, but hey, it was the beginning, right? So let me go into, as you can see, I have the CD mounted. It's of course a virtual image, but my virtual Windows machine here sees it as an actual CD that's popped in. So no, in fact I have to go to game files, sorry. So just going back to such old operating system. There we go. So let's see, program files, Criterion Studios, there we go. So the very distinct thing that I remembered about this game was that it was about boats, it was about racing. I kind of vaguely remembered something about being able to shoot as well and knock out your opponents. But more than anything, I kind of remember how it looked. I knew that you had two cameras, like you could see your boat from behind, and also you could see the dashboard, you had a first-person view. But more than anything is the sound effects from this game. And two things in particular. I remember that there was a crazy announcer voice that would like say, "Great race, you're doing so well," or shouting around and stuff like that. But more than anything, dolphin sounds. The thing I remember the most about this game is that it had dolphin sounds. And if I looked into the files, I think it's this one. Let's try it out. No, wait, I'll find it. Okay, not that. There it is. This exact sound effect. Listen to it. This sound effect is the only thing I had to perfectly remember about this game since, I don't know, I think the last time I played it was 2000 or 2001, so like 18, 17 years ago. For the past 18 years, this was the only thing I perfectly remembered about this game. Now, try going to Google and find this game by searching dolphin sounds. So it was a crazy approach, but I had to find it, and thankfully Google is patient, and you can type some really nonsense stuff, and somehow, looking deep into the pages, you can somehow find what you're looking for. So what I did, of course, first time I would type speedboat racing games, or actually just boat racing games, it would show a ton of other games. Then I had to narrow it down, and I actually typed it like this: boat racing game with dolphin sound effects. And I don't really remember how this has been, I think a couple of weeks ago, but I found sort of a review or a top 10 list, something like that, that mentioned these dolphin sound effects. And this is how I was able to find this game's name and eventually get my hands again on it. So it's really been a trip just trying to find this game. And I'm serious, I haven't played this since, like I said, about 2000. So for 18 years, I had this game somewhere locked in the back of my mind. I kind of remember how it looked. The best thing that I perfectly remembered was that dolphin sound that you just heard. And good luck trying to find it, like I said. So it's really been fun just trying to find the game and having to install Windows 98 on a virtual machine to be able to run it and all this stuff. I mean, when I started out with Windows 95, then moved on to Windows 98, and here's what I was talking about earlier. That family friend, that acquaintance that we had, was working in a hardware store or something like that. He found out about my gaming passion and how I was getting to play games just by going over at someone else's place, and he actually put together some hardware, I think used from the store or the place he was working at. He put together a computer, and one day, it was the first best day of my life, so to speak. He knocked on our door, and I remember my dad opening the door. He had a big cardboard box in his hands, and you know, hello and all that stuff. And then he came to me and said, well, I don't remember exactly, but I'm trying to remember. It was something like, "Hey, little fella, I have got something for you." And I was wondering, what is this big box? I was kind of thinking, could it be? I mean, I knew that this guy was working with PCs and stuff. But not in my wildest dreams, I could have guessed I would actually be gifted my very first PC. But I was kind of thinking about, I mean, what else could there have been in that big cardboard box? It wasn't my birthday. It wasn't Christmas. So what kind of random gift this could have been? So he said, "I've got something for you." And I remember opening up that box, and in that cardboard box, seeing a big, ugly, beige box like all PCs used to look in the late to early 90s. But man, seeing that thing back in the day was like seeing a, I don't know, super high-end computer nowadays, powered by 4 1080 Ti's or something like that. It was amazing. It was something that I wanted for so long, and something that I thought I'll never be able to have, because I couldn't afford it. I wasn't earning any money. I mean, I was 5, 6 years old, and my parents said that they won't invest into a waste of time, as they called it back then. They thought that video games are a waste of time and I would rot my brains with it. And they were kind of right, but that doesn't matter. Doesn't matter right now. I am just joking, of course. But yeah, I was gifted my first computer, and I think, I don't remember, but I think 3 or 4 years after, this same guy, so that first machine was running Windows 95, which was heavily based on DOS. And that also helped me to get into DOS as well. But anyway, I'm getting into non-important details here. But this same guy, about 4 years later, bought another PC. This time a little bit better. It was running Windows 98. And why I'm telling you this is that on that very first PC, I mean, internet wasn't really a thing. It was just starting to be a common thing in households. I don't even think if we had an internet line when my first PC was gifted to me. So all I would really do on that computer was either starting to type and learn, so it was a great educational tool as well. I would draw in paint, I would play video games, and this guy also gifted me a lot of video games. I mean, this guy has pretty much gotten me into video gaming. Again, I couldn't afford anything gaming related. This guy would frequently start to come over to our place and bring games, and whether they were CDs or floppy disks, I'll be so happy when you come over and like give me here's Doom, here's Heretic, here is SimCity, floppy disks, CDs. I was kind of starting to grow a collection, and many of those things I think I still have somewhere in this house, locked away. I actually have to look for them, and probably in one of these episodes I'll feature them and show them to you. But anyway, my only source of video games was this guy. He would bring me over games as well. So I would play video games that this guy would bring, and I would actually record myself, because I remember that, like I said, beige box, very ugly looking for today's standard, but back in the day that's how all PCs looked like. And it had sort of a latch where you could stick in a microphone and then detach it from the case and place it on your desk and have the microphone facing you. And I think it was, of course, a instant voice messaging or call microphone, something like that, you know, back when calling someone over the internet, like a phone number or even just someone distant, was like, wow, so cutting edge, like I said. But I would use that, since we didn't really have internet, I would use that to record myself. And again, remember what I said at the beginning of this video? What I was doing then, without my knowledge, I had no idea that would actually help me so much in getting the basics of recording, editing, and pretty much run sort of a show. Skills that I'm now using to run this YouTube channel. So what I would do with that microphone was to record myself. Imagine I was a radio host. I would bring over my dad, my mom, my sisters. Oh, here are my guests. And I was also playing music, and it was crazy because, I mean, I had a very squeaky childlike voice back then, but hey, I was a radio host and I had guests, so it was very professional. It was very professional. I took that very seriously. And I actually kept those old PCs, or at least the hard drive, so I think I might have those recordings somewhere as well. I'm not sure though, because man, it's just been so long. But yeah, that was a lot of fun for me back in the day. And here I am today running a YouTube channel, and that was pretty much my training without my knowledge. Alright, so enough talking about this, but like I said, in this series I want to cover things like that. And now, let's finally start the game. And, well, I'm sure I will suck at it right now, because I haven't played it, like I said, for so long. But, here we go. Oh yes, I remember this intro. This was giving me the adrenaline rush. Every time I would start up this game, I would watch this. I never skipped it. Never skipped it. I was like, oh yes, here comes the action. And it's kind of interesting. Like, this game is action oriented, but listen to the music. It's so funky. Looking at it now, it seems like it doesn't really fit. But like I said, man, back in the day, seeing this, oh, I was getting ready, my big clunky keyboard, I was placing my hands already on how the controls were mapped out, getting ready to start playing this game and destroying my opponents with, look at that, missiles and bullets. I remember you actually had a few missiles and a machine gun as well. So yeah, this is running for quite a while. Let's see, can we skip? Alright, there we go. Okay, so I have my name already because it picks up your username. And look at this. Like I said, Criterion Studios, this was their second game they've made, 1997 as I said. So they would later be much better known for the Burnout series. So it's really interesting. In fact, this is also something that I didn't remember until when I found this game again recently. And when I was a child, of course, I had no idea, and not many people actually knew who Criterion Studios was, because I think the first Burnout game was released in 2000 or 2001. So yeah, not many people, they weren't a big name or anything like that. So I think you can actually change. Oh yes, I remember this image here giving you a preview of the map, if I recall correctly. You can change the boats, you can change pretty much everything from here, but you also have the game options menu here. You could change the name of the PC CPU controlled players, and your name, of course. You could play 2 players, and I had a lot of fun with my sisters playing this game, but most of the time I played alone. But whether single player or multiplayer was a lot of fun. And remember, back in the 90s, multiplayer games would actually mean to have 1 or up to 4 people usually in the same room with you, playing together on the same console or PC. Nowadays, of course, multiplayer, the first thing that comes to mind is online multiplayer gaming. But back in the day, multiplayer actually meant multiplayers on the same couch in the same room. Yeah, good old times. So you could change the names, you can change the course, and yes, oh, that water effect. When I saw that, I was blown away, like, wow, that actually looks like water. So yeah, it gives you a preview of the different stages, the different tracks. You have the layout here. I really didn't have a favorite one. I liked all of them, and they're all differently themed, like from different parts of the world, as you can see. Great stuff. I think this is a futuristic sci-fi kind of racing track. Really, really interesting stuff. But the ones I remember most fondly are the beach-themed ones, because this is where I would hear the dolphins all the time. I think Caribbean Challenge, this one, is the one I played the most. I think I had hundreds and hundreds of races on this track. So you can change that. You can select your boat here with different stats for and different look, of course, for each one. I think the one I picked the most was this one, the Flying Manta. I liked how it looked. As you can see, it has great armor. In fact, I didn't even look at this. I would just look at how it actually looked and said, okay, I want to pick this. But for this video, let's pick something which is the better balanced one. You need to have good handling, right? But also good speed if you're racing. But I'm not going to race too much in this video, actually. Let's pick this one. Let's pick this one. Has good acceleration, good handling, and very powerful armor. Not great speed, but like I said, not focusing on that. Alright, so game mode. We had arcade, time trial, and championship. Championship, if I recall correctly, you would play, of course, all the races in a row, and of course, try to finish first. Time trial, as the name suggests, trying to get the best time in a race. And arcade is where I spent most, if not all of the time with this game. The objective is to win the race, but I think here is the only game mode where you can shoot your opponents, and this is why I always pick this one. I'm not sure, but I think in the other 2 game modes it was all about racing and beating your opponents as in a race, fairly. But in arcade you could shoot them up, which was most fun. So of course we'll play arcade. Or, oh, you could choose. So I think this is, yeah, look. Time trial is all about time. Championship, you could choose action or race. Action is where you can shoot, and race, as the name suggests, is where you would only race. So I would always pick arcade and action. And yeah, that's about it. Let's see the controls, because I haven't played, like I said, for so long. So, alright. That makes sense. Age is to repair. See, I forgot about this aspect, that you could repair your boat. Control was fire and space the missile. Right. Rear view F2 and toggle mirror F3. Okay. So I like how you remember all of these old games, the DOS games, where there was still pixelated graphics, and then later on even these early 3D games, but the controls were basically the same. The directional keys will move your character, the control and space keys would usually perform action and shoot. So yeah. Okay. Let's get it on. Oh yes, and that folding 3D effect.
Welcome to the Caribbean.
And there's the voice I was telling you. So every time I would see that folding effect again, I would be blown away. Like, wow, this game's graphics amazing. Oh yes, I remember this view. I remember this view.
Go.
All right. So I'm expected to sock.
Watch out for those corners.
Oh yes. Oh yes. So this voice always telling you about. Look ahead.
You're in third place.
Alright, always reminding you of, okay, I'm losing control.
Ahead. Keep going.
Oh yeah, so I did remember correctly this, voice telling you all this stuff. Nice jump. Oh yes, and the birds! You could hear dolphins and seagulls pooping on your window, look at that. Okay. Well, I gotta. Oh, I didn't see that. I had to turn left. Oh, I'm gonna miss it. I'm gonna miss it. Time's running out. Oh my goodness, I'm going to lose. Okay, the time's up only now. So I guess the race is over.
Better luck next time.
Woo! What a trip! What a trip! I can't tell you. Just this is the kind of game that I'll play daily for hours on end. And I remember, you know, my dad's working on stuff in his workshop, my mom cooking up something nice, and I'll be here playing like, yes, games, because it was something so new. Like I said, I was just dreaming about having a personal computer and being able to play games at home and not just wait to go to someone else's place. Alright, so I'll try again, this time focusing on the game more.
Welcome to the Caribbean Challenge.
Man, this voice, I remember it perfectly now, of course, hearing it again. This game was so much fun. And this first person view, I thought, wow, this is so realistic, it's like you're actually there. And there's the seagull already crapping on your windshield. Alright.
Let him get away.
Oh yeah, I remember that castle. Okay. Starting to cut off the corners much better. Oh no, that's not a ramp, that's not a ramp. Oh, there it is. Okay, still made the jump. It gives you a slight boost. Oh yes, and you don't have to steer while you're mid-air otherwise. Oh, you'll completely lose control. Oh, I'm taking hits. Oh no. I'm not sure if I think you could go reverse as well, but I'm not going to try that right now to waste time.
Come on, time's running out.
And there you go. The checkpoints, you don't even actually have to go straight down the middle, as you can see. And let's see. Oh, repair dog. Yeah, I think I need. Yeah, give me repairs. Age. Did it work? It did. Oh, but it stops you in place. Great. I forgot about that. Oh, and you can actually. I forgot about it. You could see the steering wheel moving. I think I picked up something. You could refill your ammo, as far as I remember, by picking up those power-ups. Oh. Just have to get the ball under control. Alright, there's another checkpoint. I'm 5th.
3 laps to go.
Oh, I picked up missiles. That I can see. Oh my goodness, it's making me dizzy. I think there were some shortcuts behind that waterfall. I'm not sure. I'm already. Oh my goodness. Once again.
Shortcut ahead.
Shortcut ahead. Okay, let's try it out. Might as well try it out. No, maybe this one. I'm sure there was. Oh, time is up anyway. Time is up. Anyway, I'm 6th, but at least I reached the second lap this time. Okay, 3rd time's the charm. I'll try it again, and this time make sure I win it. The thing is that I'm so excited with going back to this game. I haven't even shoot at all until now. So, okay, this time, getting ready. Imagining myself being 6 years old again. I'll start shooting and win this race.
Go!
So let's see, missiles. They don't work. Oh, I think I have.
Watch out for those corners.
Okay, so you start with no ammo apparently, because nothing happens when I'm pressing space. Taking a left turn here.
You're in 3rd place.
Okay, thank you for that. Reaching the first checkpoint already, avoiding the fire. I think.
Wow, cool jump.
Yeah, cool jump. I think the thing is that
you're in 2nd place.
Oh, don't jinx it. I think that the only
you're in 3rd place
feasible time when you can repair your boats is when you're in top 3 or the very first one, most preferably. Because obviously you would have the lead.
Repair dock ahead.
Yeah, I'm 5th again. I missed the ramp. I'm getting... Oh my goodness.
Whoa.
I still can't shoot. There's the missile. Okay, I picked them up, but there's no boat inside. Trying to get close to my opponents so I can shoot. But apparently that'll be more difficult than I would think. There's the checkpoint. You know, let's try. Okay, there's the missile. Yeah, so you can shoot. Of course, after picking up ammo. Yeah, thanks for the advice. How am I so far behind? I really can't see any opponent anymore. Oh, and those crazy people, I know if you catch that, but the crazy people on the side, I remember that as well. Oh, finally, come here. Yes. Don't like that, don't you? This corners again. Oh, another boat. Shoot, shoot, shoot. Yes, there's my machine gun as well. I'm not sure how I could aim it. I'm 3rd all of a sudden, okay. And this is only the 2nd lap. I think I'm actually now approaching the end of it. That's great. No, 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 no. Get me on the ramp, get me on the ramp. Oh, no, not the fire. Oh, great. Shoot. I didn't hit him.
You're in 3rd place.
I just noticed. I'm not sure if this is a difficulty option thing, but the AI never shoots at you. And actually, I think this is how it was back when I played it as a child. I don't remember getting hit, but I guess that all the hazards that they placed on the track itself were enough to bring down your armor, take hits and all that. And maybe this is why they're not shooting at you. Only you can shoot. I am 2nd. Wow, that's pretty good. Oh, there's the 1st place. Come on. Shoot, shoot, shoot. No, that was a good hit. Neither was that one.
Wow, cool jump.
Come on, shoot this guy.
You better look out for some missiles.
I did! Come on!
You're in 1st place.
Oh, no, no, don't lose control now, don't lose control now. I really don't know how you can aim your machine gun. It seems like it has a pretty short range, so I guess you have to be pretty close to the opponent ahead of you.
Nice.
I have no missiles right now.
Repair dock ahead.
Oh, no, not the fire, not the fire. Okay. Oh, no, it still hit me. Great. And 3rd? Oh, no. Got the missiles, there we go. Come on, shoot this guy. Yes. Yes. Oh, avoid. There we go. What? They're ahead again? Shoot. I haven't even used, yeah, the rear view. There it is. You can see your boat. Come on, at least 3rd. Okay. Woo. This worked me up real nicely. At least I finished 3rd. Wow. Great race. So as you can see, there are so many other, I think there are 10 tracks. Let's have a look at this. So 5 over here, yeah, 10 total tracks. They're all great. Like I said, different themes and looking all different and like from different places around the world. There's variety to this game. You can see different boats, and I do remember it was pretty realistic the way they would control differently, the way you could build them. The very fast boats would be very fast but harder to handle. The more composed boats would be slower but you would be more accurate in shooting and finish higher up, as you can see in this race. Oh, what a trip. And this is only the beginning. This is only the first episode in this series. We'll talk about so many games, and I'll, like in this one, mention a lot of my childhood memories. Won't talk so much about like real life events and how I got into gaming. I think pretty much all you need to know was this. I had my first 3 computers gifted to me, so one in the late 90s, one in the early 2000s, and the last one before I actually built my first computer in 2005, and that one was a little more advanced. I mean, it had a dedicated CPU, an integrated graphics, I don't think it was called card. You remember when CPUs didn't actually have graphics accelerators integrated into them? Instead, they were actually soldered to the motherboard. So you'd buy a motherboard and look for different chipsets so you'd get better performance in games. Those were great times. And in fact, I think I actually have that motherboard right here. I do. Hold on a moment. Here it is. Look at this. Great. The stock AMD fan fell off. Look at this thing. So it was an AMD based system. AM2 socket, as I remembered. So this was the base of my 2005 PC that was gifted to me. In fact, you can see right here. Let me see if I can get that on camera. Come on, focus. Look at that. AMD Sempron. What model? I'm not really sure. There's the product code here. In fact, I remember looking this up and finding the model online. But right now, I'm not really sure. If you want to actually know this, let me know in the comments. And here it is. This is what I was talking about. Let's see if we can get that in focus again. There it is. Come on. In fact, the best thing to do here is to go back to full screen with the camera. So there it is. NVIDIA. That's the integrated graphics chipset accelerator, however it was called. Again, I really don't remember the chipset model, but integrated graphics, and I had that computer for about 7 years. 7 years, yes, exactly 7 years. And look at this old hardware. Remember when motherboards were brown or green? I mean, look at this. This looks like diarrhea pretty much. Look at that color. It looked horrible. But again, cases were enclosed. There were no windows, tempered glass, or whatever it is nowadays. So seeing hardware advance the way to reach the level we have right now is a great thing. Seeing that aesthetics have become an important part of PCs is also great. Because there were a lot of messy cables. Do you remember those flat IDE cables? Took up so much space. You just throw them in there, put the side panel on, forget about it all, because nobody would see it anyway, and it was just terrible. But nowadays there's cable management, there's black PCBs. Aesthetics are an important thing, and I'm happy about that because it helps a lot of other people get into PC gaming. It helps keep things look nice and tidy, and it just catches your eye. I mean, it's great. So yeah, this is hardware that I still keep from back in the day. Why? Because it's fun to tinker with, it's fun to see it live in front of your face. It's one thing to see a picture online with old hardware, it's another thing to actually see it like this. And I'm not sure if you know this, but I'm quite the hardware enthusiast as well. I mean, I'm interested to see how technology advances and how that will change gaming for us. So yeah, there it is, my 2005 motherboard. And you know what's interesting? The case that hosted this system, remember this was the third system gifted to me. Afterwards, in 2012, I built my very first PC, which was a very exciting, interesting and fun experience. If you want to know about that, let me know, and some video I will talk about that as well. So I also have the case from this PC. I don't have the cases or anything from the first two ones. They were really old anyway, and I always lagged behind technology because I had to rely on this guy gifting me stuff, hardware and games. So for the other series, games I might have missed on, or I'll see whichever will be the final name, we'll have a lot of games to talk about actually, because I still have a huge backlog. There's so many games I missed out on. I lived to see so many great game launches, but I wasn't able to play them because, see this? The integrated graphics didn't really help much. I would try to play the latest titles on this thing, and they would run at 5 to 10 FPS. It was terrible, but I didn't know much about hardware. I didn't know anything about, you know, discrete GPUs, accelerators, stuff like that. I would give you more performance. And in fact, on this system, I made my first ever upgrade. I bought my first ever GPU, and we'll talk about this in a separate video that I think I'll keep non-gaming related, just talk about my hardware if you're interested in this kind of stuff. So see, I'm diversifying the content of this channel because this is what I wanted. Yes, I'm a big football fan, but more importantly, I'm a big video game and hardware fan, so I can include stuff like this in here as well. So that's about it for today's video. I'm very happy to have started this series with Speedboat Attack, a game that I've just played so much in my childhood, alongside another one that I'll feature in the next episode. Fortunately, that one has been re-released on Steam a few years ago, so it runs perfectly fine on my computer without having the need to emulate like virtual machines or stuff like that. So yes, that game also was very hard for me to find, but I'll talk about it in that video, certainly in the next upcoming episode, the second episode. So that's about it for today's video. Gave you a little taste of the game. In fact, I think now I'll get back to playing it because it's very addicting and it really takes me back. So thank you for watching this video. I hope you enjoyed the change in content. I hope you enjoy listening to my story, my origin story, sort of. So let me know if you enjoyed this video by giving it a thumbs up, and as I said at the beginning, leave your comments. Let me know if you played this game ever in your childhood or even recently. Let me know if you played it, and if not, let me know if it looks fun and you'd like to give it a try. And of course, about this new series, let me know if you're interested, if you like what you saw and you would like to see more in the future, because as I said, I have a lot of games to talk about from my past. And I will see you next time, hopefully as well as today. See you then.